Hello, welcome to our Daily Horizon View for the 2nd of the 4th, 2019. Today we're going to have a look at top 5's for the ASX Exchange Traded Funds. Our spotlight today is VTS on the ASX, and that is the Vanguard US Total Market Share Index ETF. So if you want to look at that one, you can skip straight to the end and have a look at it. So our quick overview of the market, reasonable day I suppose, closed out 0.45% up at 63.27. Information technology, consumer discretionary, healthcare, energy, industrials, financials pushed the market up. Metals overall had a down day. Crude and oil-related commodities had an up day. Top 5 percentage rises. We had ETMPD, Triple O, BNKS, ROBO, IWLD. We had low volume through for our physical platinum, which is EPMPD. That was up by 4.5%, but volume like 37 shares traded. So very, very low volume. Quickly going over IWLD, which is a new one that's not seen greatly. And that's the iShares Core MSCI World All Cap ETF. That might be one if you're looking for international exposure. We'll have a look at that one closer in another day. Top 5 percentage falls. We had MNRS, QR, GDX, FRA, Rent. So MNRS is our gold miners, QR is our S&P Biotech ETF, GDX is the VanEck Vectors gold miners. So metals were down today, so people are trying to move a bit of money out of gold ETFs. Pretty low volume though. We had IFRA, that one is semi-popular. I don't see it pop up too often, but IFRA is the VanEck Vectors FTSE Global Infrastructure ETF, and that's hedged. And that just tracks the S&P ASX franked index, dividend index, sorry. Rent is the AMP Global Property Securities Fund, and that's unhedged, and that invests in global listed real estate securities. Top $5 rises. No surprises. We saw the Platinum ETF again, IVV, IJH, SPY, and BTS. As mentioned before, ETPMPD was up 4.58% on a very low volume. IVV is our iShares S&P 500 ETF, and that's got about $2.3 billion invested in it. IJH is our iShares S&P Midcap 400, so it tracks in midcap stocks in the States. So SPY, which is SPY, is a State Street Spider S&P 500 ETF. And VTS, which is what we'll have a look at later on, is the Vanguard US Total Market Share Index ETF. So some money going back to the American ETFs. So people are marginally more bullish on those ones. Our top $5 falls: QR, IHCB, IXJ, IXI, IHOO. So we had a quick look at QE before. So IHCB is the iShares Core Global Corporate Bond ETF, and that's hedged the Australian dollar. IXJ is the iShares Global Healthcare ETF, and that includes biotech, healthcare, medical equipment, pharmaceutical companies. Then we had IXI, which is the iShares Global Consumer Staples ETF. Then we had IHOO, which is the iShares Global 100 ETF. That's a good ETF if you're looking for some diversification and a dividend yield that's quite impressive. Moving along. Top 5 number of trades we had today. As always, we expect to see the big guys: STW, BAP, IVV, BAS, and BTS. VTW is the State Street Spider S&P ASX 500. Sorry, ASX 200. What am I talking about? VAP is the Vanguard Australia Property Securities Index. IVV is the iShares S&P 500 ETF. And VAS is the Vanguard Australia Shares Index. And we had, as mentioned before, VTS is the Vanguard US Total Market Share Index. So all relatively similar number of trades. STW, which has been the highest trade the last couple of days, sitting on 190 trades. Not a lot of movement up for any of those ones. Moving on. Top 5 for volume. As with all these last three, we expect to see the big guys, the favourites in the market. STW NDQ, which is the BetaShares Nasdaq 100 ETF. China New, which is the VanEck Vectors China New Economy, so it looks at the emerging markets in China. VAS, just went over that one. It's the Vanguard Australia Shares Index. We had Gear, which is one that pops up every now and again. That's the BetaShares Geared Australia Equity Fund. So volume-wise, so as it follows that STW had the greatest number of trades, so you're going to have the greatest number of volume. Moving on. Top 5 number of value: STW, VAS, VTS, IVV, and VGS. So the State Street Spider S&P ASX 200 ETF had $10.7 million traded today, which is relatively low. Some days we can see up to 20-25 million traded through on that one. So cracking along to the spotlight, and today the spotlight's on VTS on the ASX, and that's the Vanguard USA Total Market Share Index. So VTS seeks to track the performance of the CRSP US Total Market Index. That's a bit of a mouthful. And they're trying to provide investors with exposure to a broadly diversified collection of securities that in aggregate approximate their full index in terms of the key characteristics. The ETF provides exposure to the world's largest companies. A lot of those are listed in the United States. It offers a low cost or rock bottom cost to access the broad range of diversified securities. It allows you to participate in their long-term growth potential. The ETF is exposed to the fluctuating values of the US currency, as there will be any hedge to the Australian dollar. Sorry, will not be any hedging to the Australian dollar, which is fine. So our key benefits is the Vanguard investment approach provides investors with an efficient way to capture long-term market performance. The fund invests in a diversified portfolio, as we've gone over before. And the fund has low rock bottom ongoing fees as they strive to minimise the cost of managing and operating the fund. They're very efficient inside this fund and the ETF. Just went through this because I've forgotten. We had our net asset value as of yesterday, or later today, sorry, close was 203.52. So we're trading just above that at 206.26, and like as I mentioned before, the management fee is rock bottom. You can't, you can't find a lower management fee than that. 0.04%. Pays a nice little dividend of 1.77%, and that's quarterly. So you get a check January, April, June, and October if I get my months in the right order. So a quick summary: the ETF has over 3,500 holdings, and that's all for listed business in the US. As mentioned before, it gives you good exposure to the US market. Another key criteria is the US equities have a low correlation to Australian equities, so when one's up, the other's down, and they kind of balance each other out, for want of a better way to visualize it. And the American companies have quite a large global footprint as opposed to companies in Australia that typically are quite small. The US market has been growing quite strongly over the last 5 years, which follows that your returns in the ETF are going to be strong as well. So they're sort of averaging 15.5 or thereabouts per annum, and I'll have a quick look at the graph over the page. This ETF is highly rated by Morningstar for a good reason, because I agree with them, obviously. And I think it should be a highly considered ETF for anybody who's looking for global exposure at a rock bottom price. So Morningstar give this ETF a gold rating. As always, we should be doing our research and comparing funds and ETFs and the like. So also have a look at IVV, IWLD, and VEU for some other comparisons. Yeah, I forgot to flick through again, getting ahead of myself. So I'm just going to how we calculate our net asset value. So yeah, just have a quick look at the graph. So performance since inception, 15.47%. So if I just round up the slide of 15.5. So the top holdings: Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Berkshire, J&J, JP Morgan Chase, Alphabet, which is Google. We've got Exxon, and we've got Alphabet again, Class C shares. Then we've got Bank of America Corporation, Pfizer, P&G, and Intel. So there's a good mix across asset classes, and also the big and small in town. So let's crack our financial sky. Woo, 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 woo. Definitely just trying to educate everybody on what options are out there. So if you like it, give it a thumbs up, and if you happen to even like it even more, give me a subscribe. We're constantly producing content, and not just ETF focused, but this is going to be one of my focuses because I think ETFs are a great way to invest for everybody. Thank you.